CodyCast is a semi-professional CSGO caster. After winning the Community Caster Challenge during ECS Season 7, he's gone on to work events like Epic LAN and worked with BBC Sports Scotland to broadcast CSGO to the UK. We've invited him on today to talk about his experience of coming up in the CSGO scene and to find out just a little bit more about the man behind the mic. Okay, so where did Cody 1304 come from?
So this is a very odd story. It's not like your usual, it's my name, because obviously, as people might be aware, my real name isn't Cody, it's actually Kyle. So it's really Kyle CodyCast Mullings. Cody 1304 came around from when I was about 11. My mum told me, I wasn't going to call you Kyle, I was going to call you Cody. And I thought, you know what, at 11, I want to be called anything but Kyle. Let's go with Cody. And I started to play the game Habbo online with a few friends. And I thought, I'm going to go with Cody 1304. So Cody, just because my mum said she might have named me it, and then I went with it. And 1304 is my birthday, 13th of the 4th. So feel free to...
Creative, then.
Yeah, exactly. Feel free to send me presents. But yeah, and then ever since then, so since I'm like 11, so God, how many years was that? That was 11 years ago. It's kind of stuck since then. Every single game and every single platform I moved on to, I've always been Cody 1304, some form of variation. Recently, though, I have moved. I've realised that numbers are a little bit annoying to remember and type. So I thought, let's change slightly, at least for casting. So I'm now CodyCasts in that.
Yeah, I quite like CodyCast anyway. It's quite catchy. It's got the repeating letters at the start, and it makes sense.
Exactly. I thought I was too deep into my career to jump to Kyle casts, because people are like, they know who Cody is, but they might not know who Kyle is. So I thought, let's keep at least one element of the old name before we completely jump ship.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of that, then, how long have you been casting as CodyCast?
God. So casting in general, it's looking around about 3, almost 4 years now. But that's not just Dota. That's not just Counter-Strike. That's a mix of games, Dota being one. It kind of started weirdly. I jumped into my now friend's gaming lounge. He opened up like a gaming cafe near where I live. And on his opening day, he was playing Overwatch with a few friends and another gaming lounge that came down. And I just started to talk over the back of it while they were streaming onto Facebook. And then it picked up from there. I did a few more games inside of the gaming studio. Then decided, okay, my friends play Dota quite a lot. Let's jump into Dota with some of my friends. Started to cast Dota. Moved from Dota after I realised that I hate MOBAs. And then I want to say it was about August 2017, I put a Reddit post up on our Global Offensive being like, I want to do CSGO casting. What do I need to do? Send me your games. I'll stream them and we'll go from there. I got some nice offers and a lot of people sending me their pub games, a few ESEA games. And I was actually reached out by a team called Adaptation GG. I worked with them for a little bit. They're disbanded now. I worked with them for a little bit. They're a North American team. And that was actually the very first team that Obo played for. And so I was casting Obo. We're looking at almost 3 years ago now. So when he was like 13, 14.
So when he was really first getting into it. So you saw the making of Obo.
Man, he was crazy back then as well. That's the weird thing. Like, he just didn't stop. So he did that. And obviously then he moved up to FPL and then started to get more and more and more hype. And now he's playing for Complexity, which is insane. Thankfully got to meet him at ECS, which was really cool.
Yeah, he's a really cool kid, isn't he?
He's so down to earth. Like,
as well. Like
he hasn't let anything get to his head. Like, he's very much just, I'm good at this. I'm very good at this. I'm a prodigy. But he doesn't boast about it. He's not like...
Yeah, definitely.
In certain other games, a lot of people at that age would be like, I'm just amazing. But no, he's very down to earth. He's such a great guy. So, 10 out of 10. Good kid.
Yeah, so after casting all those kind of lower ranked games, did you move on to bigger things?
Yeah, it took a little bit of time. But after Adaptation disbanded, I moved over to kind of an organisation called Vortex. And they kind of deal with loads of different Counter-Strike events around Tier 3, Tier 2. And they just look for casters inside of that. I got the opportunity to cast for WESG. for their online qualifiers for not only the European and North American, but also the Brazilian and the female qualifiers for global as well, which was amazing. A lot of really great experience to see some talent which might not get the eyes of everyone. So that was an amazing opportunity. That was kind of my big first event. During that time, I was actually part of another caster challenge, which was the HP Omen caster challenge, which was actually won not by myself, but by Scriv and Yumi, two amazing casters in the UK scene. And a little bit bummed, obviously, he didn't win, but didn't knock me down. Continued going from there, and then, well, a few months later, ended up entering another caster challenge, the ECS Season 7 one, and winning that one.
Yeah, so that's actually how we found out about you through the ECS Community Casters Challenge. So that actually brings me neatly on to my next point. What's happened since you obviously won the European part of the Community Caster Challenge? I've obviously seen you pop up at Epicland with BBC Sports Scotland. So just tell me a little bit more about what you've done with those guys. What kind of work you've been doing?
Yeah, definitely. So since ECS, currently right now, nothing's really come off the back directly of the ECS Caster Challenge. But it's kind of been stuff which has been in the works and finally kind of coming to fruition just off the back of that. So we've got Epicland, like you said. So Epicland ended up casting with Raptoros, Louis 2K, and Yumi as well, who I've cast with online a few times. And that was an amazing event. Really enjoyed that. That was my first LAN experience. And then since then, like you said, I had the opportunity to go up to Scotland to work with Scotland Esports and ended up being on BBC Sports Scotland, which is pretty crazy. My dad actually messaged me because he pressed the red button on his TV. He was looking to find out what the golf scores was and just saw a picture of my face. And he was like, what's going on? I didn't realise you were on BBC Sport. And I didn't realise it was actually being shown on TV. I thought it was just online. So, no, it was really, really cool. That was an amazing experience as well. Actually kind of had my first kind of paid event to go to and actually be on a stage in front of people, actually commentate in front of them instead of just kind of at a LAN. But no, amazing experience, and well, hopefully I get to do some more of that sort of again. But that kind of brings us to today. I've been kind of taking just a couple of weeks break since those events, just kind of find my feet, just come back from holiday, just to recoup. But I'm looking to jump back into the saddle fairly soon.
Oh, brilliant! Well, we'd be excited to see what you're doing.
Cheers.
So what has been your most memorable moment that you've casted so far in esports? I know you mentioned WSG. Stuff like that. So what was the hypest moment?
So I'm gonna break the fourth wall a bit because you sent that question over prior, and I was like, God, what is my most memorable moment?
Secrets.
I know. I'm sorry, I've broken them. So that one really got me thinking because I've had the opportunity, thankfully, to cast a lot of amazing games. But I feel like I couldn't really narrow it down to one. There was 3 amazing moments that all came from me having the opportunity to cast the online qualifiers of ECS. So there was an amazing moment, clutch moment from H&T Hunter from Valiant in the 1v3.
I rate Hunter.
Kid is amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Amazing talent. And this kind of really put him on the map for me. An amazing 1v3 on Inferno on A site up against Ferez, which blew open the rest of the game and completely ended up waving back his team back into kind of the forefront of the match. And then kind of the next 2 that lined up for me was actually in the same match on the same map, was when I got to do kind of a all-star match, which I never thought I'd get to do, was G2 and FaZe. So I witnessed Shox, amazing 1v3, kind of come into his own element and take down 3 CT members of FaZe. They were beginning to defuse the bomb. And that just blew my mind. I think I just completely lost all cognition of what was going on. I was like, Shoxy, you're insane. And then Rain as well, the absolute insane man with that AWP. Flicking and absolutely destroying Shox through a wall that he had no idea where he was.
That was the one on Nuke, right?
That was on Nuke, they were both on Nuke and they were both insane. So those 3 have been my most memorable moments in recent memory, at least. I'm sure there's been some fantastic ones in the past, but obviously you cast a lot of games and things unfortunately do get forgotten. But I'm sure in my backlog there is a lot more amazing moments as well.
Oh, great. So let's jump into the Community Casters Challenge a little bit deeper.
Sure.
Just to get your kind of thoughts and your opinions on the Community Casters Challenge. Like, how do you think that they can improve it for next season? Like, what would you like to see done with it next season?
So I think the opportunities that the Community Cast Challenge opens up is fantastic. Like I said, I didn't think at this stage in my casting career I'd be casting games like G2 FaZe, NIP versus Fours, and Valiance versus Fours on a stage like ECS with that sort of online qualifying scene. That was fantastic. Just giving that opportunity to a lot of people is brilliant. I feel like there were some definite improvements which could be done to the way things were kind of run and develop. I was talking to the guys who actually ran it, and it was just unfortunate timing on their end. They had a few more events which their primary focus was going on, and obviously they had to deal with the players over us, just which makes complete sense. They need to ensure the games are run smoothly and need to ensure that, well, face it, is a very large company. They're doing a lot more than just ECS. So yeah, a few more back-end things could have been potentially a little bit smoother for the casters and potentially for the players as well. I mean, it would have been nice to cast a game at the actual ECS Season 7 live event. That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that opportunity wasn't available. I was talking to Bardoff when I was actually at the event, and he was like, unfortunately, this time that opportunity isn't available. I know in the past that has been an opportunity, which is great for Dinko and Hawker when they won Season 5 a few years ago. But I feel like that was more because they were already kind of an established duo. Putting me on the stage in front of paying fans and people online on my own, or potentially with tier 1 casters that I hadn't worked with before, wouldn't have been a great experience for everyone involved. Sure, I would have loved it, but people might not have actually enjoyed the way things are going just due to clashes in, well, contrasts in the way that we cast. So it happens. Okay. It's unfortunate, but it would have been nice to obviously actually get some experience on a LAN event at that scale after winning the Community Caster Challenge. But it wasn't to be.
So in terms of you mentioned there that is maybe the fact that you weren't in a duo might have held you back a little bit. Do you think that having a partner to do casting is almost kind of necessary nowadays?
It depends, because I feel like a lot more opportunities can come up and come available if you have someone, like a single person you're willing to work with. Let's look at top tier stuff, DDK and Bardoff. Obviously, they are incredibly well renowned and they work almost exclusively with each other when it comes down to Counter-Strike casting. And there's a good reason. They have an amazing amount of chemistry in between them, and you see that a lot with pairs. They work off the back of each other. They work with each other enough that they know exactly how to communicate. I've been in certain casting situations where I haven't been able to riff off the back of the other person, and no fault of their own, just our casting styles clash. Maybe that they're too similar. My direct kind of casting role is a shoutcaster. I'm play-by-play. Whereas if you pair two play-by-plays together, it can get a little bit messy because two people are trying to do the exact same thing at the exact same time, kind of be the overall voice of the broadcast. But it can indeed work. And I feel like, yes, it's best if you are trying to break into scene, do it with someone you know, or at least move into gaining a co-caster, because from there you can begin getting a little bit more well-known about, okay, these are two people we can hire here and now, instead of having to cross our fingers that this pair that we're going to get together can work. So yes, it can definitely help, but there are a lot of opportunities for solo casters as well. Potentially events which can't afford two people.
So there's advantages and negatives to it.
Definitely.
Okay, brilliant. So we're going to kind of move on to the next part. What was you kind of spoke about your cafe days in terms of casting the Overwatch at the gaming lounge.
Yeah.
So is that what kind of motivates you to keep casting all these years?
So it's the reactions. It really is. I get to react in certain ways to levels of gaming, which unfortunately I can't achieve because I'm not very good at games, but I'm good at talking. So I can talk over people who are good at games. And then I get to see people in chat. I get to see people in real life at LANs actually react to what we're saying and understanding the game, being that overall commentary, kind of like the commentary over the top of the entire experience for people who might not know what's going on, explaining it in a better way so they can enjoy it is fantastic. Just seeing people being able to get into it and seeing that I'm making a bit of a difference because, okay, you can have an amazing moment, but people might not understand why that's amazing. Adding the voice to it and then continuing go from there. And people are like, okay, I don't fully understand the concept of this, but that looks awesome. That's amazing. People getting hype. Clearly, this is a good thing. And then they just start enjoying the overall situation as well. You can watch a demo sitting in your room and think, oh, yeah, that's cool. But if you watch a cast online of someone doing it, you're going to get a lot more hype in the entire thing. And that's kind of what motivates me to do more. I like helping people enjoy the overall experience a bit more.
Okay, so you kind of like add that extra little layer on top of
I like
esports
to think so.
already. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that's just myself either, not to sound like super big-headed, like, oh, it's just me. It's just casting in general. That's what casters are there for. They're there to storyline the entire situation and explain it. Everyone does it in their own styles and everyone does it in their different ways. I feel like the way that I do it is I just try and build hype around the entire, most situations. And I do have a lot of people come into chat on like random ESEA games, which I'm just doing for practice. And they're like, why is this dude so hype? Why is he casting it like as a major? It's because these guys who I'm casting might not have the opportunity to have their games casted again if it is at a lower tier. So let's give them what they want. Let's let them enjoy the overall experience, and let's random people who are watching this random game of random teams they don't know actually get invested in it and appreciate and understand it.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned that you go into ESEA stuff and other kind of like higher level pugs. Is that all that you do to practice, or is it more of a natural talent, or do you have to build up the confidence to kind of speak on microphone and stream these games and stuff like that, or is it just something that you've naturally had a talent for, essentially?
So it's something which I've definitely developed over time. When I was a kid, I was big into theatre. So I used to do stage performances, drama acting, singing and stuff like that. So I've never kind of shied away from performing. And this is kind of a new avenue for me to be able to do that. Instead of just putting my face on the screen and just acting out a performance, my performance is explaining what's going on. It's a different way for me to be able to get my voice out there and get my voice heard, which, I suppose maybe that's a bit narcissistic, putting it that way. But it's something which I've always enjoyed performing. And this is a new way for me to be able to perform. I don't know why I've always enjoyed it. It's just come naturally to me. But obviously being able to move those skills which I learned in the past over to something like this, it's not easy and it does take a while. But yeah, it's taken a while to get to the position where I'm at and where I'm at right now, but there's still obviously a lot more development and growth that I can do.
Okay, cool. So we're going to chit it up again a little bit here. But who is your favorite CSGO team right now and why?
Ooh. God, put me right on the spot now. People are going to witch hunt if I don't say their favourite team. I mean, it's hard to deny how good Liquid are doing right now. I have always liked Liquid. They've been a great force, and the way that the entire Liquid organisation is managed seems to be fantastic. I've always had a soft spot for Cloud9 in my heart as well. So a lot of those NA squads, weirdly enough, I'm from the EU, but I've always had a soft spot for NA. Liquid at this current moment in time is my most favourite team to watch. But I'd say Big, weirdly enough, is potentially my favourite team at this current moment in time. There's a lot of changes that have just happened. We've added Smooth back to the roster. Yeah. I suppose that dates this now. Smooth's just been added back to the roster, by the way, which is great. I've had the opportunity to meet him a few times, and he seems like a great guy. And he's definitely got a knack and definitely got an amazing talent. And of course, you've got to support your UK brethren. My other half, actually, she saw her first, she was actually at her first Counter-Strike event at ECS, and she ended up liking North, mainly because she liked KGB's face. But I don't know if that fills me with confidence or not. But he is a pretty boy. Man. He is a beautiful boy. But yeah, so that's her favourite team for that reason. I mean, everyone likes teams. Fair enough. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, what do you think of Crazy? I mean, I personally, I rate Crazy, and you mentioned Hunter earlier, but I also rate Nexa as a rifler and player. But obviously they qualified through the minor by beating your girlfriend's favourite team.
Yeah. She wasn't happy.
So what do you think about Crazy? Just give me a few thoughts.
So am I writing... Again, this is where I go a little bit stupid. This is the original Valiant's lineup, isn't it? This is recently picked up the original. Yeah. I mean, I've got no complaints. They've done fantastically well as Valiants. I can only assume they're going to be doing fantastically well moving forward underneath the new organisation of Crazy as well. Like you said, they've been doing well so far. They've had great success over the last few years. Of course, nothing at the top tier, but they are recently definitely climbing up those ranks to go up to those next levels. And now, obviously, qualifying for the major.
Now, bear in mind, I'm just asking you to validate my own opinion right now, so
that's absolutely
okay.
Fine. Like I said, the HNT, the Hunter clip. Sorry, I call it HNT in the clip, and it just like always sticks. The Hunter clip, like that kid's got amazing talent. He's a great player. Letney, also very good. Esperanto, like these are names which people might not know today, like because they are kind of breaking into that tier 1 scene. They've been around in the tier 2 scene for quite a while now as different organizations, but they're fantastic players in their own right. And I feel like they have been a little bit unlucky when it comes down to actually jumping up to that next level. And I feel like thankfully they're in the right place where they can actually move up. It's definitely a team to keep your eye on. Not my favorite team right now, of course, but they've got some amazing players and very talented individuals on that team.
So soon TM.
Soon TM. Keep an eye, especially at the major.
It's great. So actually, let's roll on to the major if you don't mind. Give us your predictions. Who do you think is going to make it to the final?
Crazy. They're going to win. No. I would like to say that they're going to do good. I feel like the way things have been going recently and the dominant streak that is Liquid, that they are probably going to win the entire thing. I think it's hard to deny that they are the favourites going into. Of course, Vitality recently now being classed as the second best team in the world. That's going to be a very interesting thing to see, and hopefully you get to see a Vitality Liquid game in potentially even the finals. So they are kind of the two main teams to look out for. Team Liquid, Team Vitality, keep your eyes out on them. They are going to be the main teams who are most likely going to get to the final if on paper everything kind of lays out as it does.
Yeah, time to get your Vitality stickers, right?
Exactly. Grab them. Grab your Alex sticker and just stick that everywhere because, like I said, support the British Counter-Strike scene.
Oh, you can't forget about Death, you know?
Who?
Death. There's some shade being thrown.
No, Def's lovely. Again, met him at ECS. He's a great guy. And yeah, he's great talent. A lot of them are. So no complaints. And it's nice to see, and just kind of touch on that, it's nice to see a lot of UKCS moving up the ladder as well. We got Def in Complexity. I suppose certain people wouldn't class him as a UK player anymore. You've got Alex in Vitality, similar sort of thing there actually, considering he lived in France for most of his life. We have Smooya in Big and also Thomas in No Chance. So of course I don't think they qualified.
No, they didn't.
But they're making moves. They're making waves in other places, nevertheless. So
yeah, I mean, any team with Makalele's got my vote.
Oh, of course.
So yeah, so in terms of esports future and your kind of casting career, what's kind of next for you?
So the next steps for me is looking for bigger events. Obviously, I've got the taste of LAN events now. I've done Epic LAN and I did the Scottish Esports League. I want more of that. I need more of that.
I got a taste of it now.
I got a taste for it and I just want to keep doing it. It was so fun. It was an amazing experience to be on site and actually get the direct feedback from people there, working with the talent who's directly sitting next to you. I don't care what anyone says. There is a huge difference between sitting next to the person you're commentating with and doing it online. Even if you're using webcams to be able to communicate online, it's completely different. You work and you vibe so much better when you're actually with that person. And then off camera as well, you have great discussions about the game and you can turn that into analysis moving forward. So I want to do more of that. It gives a better experience for everyone watching, and it is definitely a better experience for everyone involved behind the scenes as well. So if anyone out there is looking for a caster at LAN events, Twitter, Cody1304, thanks.
I'm sure we can put a link out below this. It's fine. Yeah. So again, in terms of your career, is it just CSGO that you're going to be sticking with in the near future? Or are you looking to
For
expand to other stuff?
for now, yeah.
For now.
I'm There's a few other things which I'd like to dip my toes into. I would like to see Apex Esports pick up a little bit more and then move into Apex Legends potentially. I'm kind of addicted to that game right now, so
I saw
it's
your tweet about it. I was
Ah.
like, yes, let's get this going.
So there's actually an opportunity coming up fairly soon. It's just to kind of rebroadcast certain things of one of the next tournaments coming up, but it's completely license free, and then you just get a clean feed allowing you to commentate over the top of it. You don't have to do anything else. So that is a great experience for me to be able to kind of develop a little bit more. So it's something I might be looking at doing it in the future. But my primary focus is definitely Counter-Strike, and I feel like for the foreseeable future, it will be as well. Sure, I wouldn't be against doing other events and other games, but I have to be invested in that game. I'm invested in Counter-Strike. That's why I do Counter-Strike.
So, in terms of the future, going further ahead, where do you see esports in 5 years' time? Give me your opinion.
5 years' time.
Yeah.
We're going to have Zeppelins flying around the sky with esports logos on the side of it. It's going to be dystopian, and we're going to have just esports everywhere. It's going to shut down soccer. No.
It's going to be bigger than the NFL.
Bigger than FIFA. But no, in all honesty, I feel like esports is booming at this current moment in time. We've just had a 16-year-old win $3 million at the Fortnite World Cup. That's amazing. That in of itself has put all eyes on esports and all eyes on gaming, which is absolutely amazing. It's going to get bigger. It can't slow down, and it won't slow down. Nothing's going to be able to trump it for a long time. In the next 5 years, we're going to be seeing new titles come around. We're going to be seeing new elements and new developments of esports, potentially even some more augmented reality elements at main events. The events are going to get bigger. For instance, at the Dota International and also at League of Legends, I don't know what it's called. I don't touch League. Worlds. There we go.
I don't touch League either, trust me.
Yeah, at Worlds, obviously, they have these amazing spectacles of events, and they're becoming bigger and bigger, and they're drawing more eyes into the entire thing. In 5 years' time, it's going to blow up. I expect it to be on TV more than it is already. I expect more people to be invested, and I expect the kind of the shunning, which is, oh, you play video games for a living, to completely disappear in 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about some of the kids who competed at the Fortnite World Cup, and you see all these player profiles put out on BBC News and Sky News and stuff like that. And they're all these kind of young, early teens, essentially, that mums have told or parents have told them, "Oh, you got to go back into school and stuff like that." But they're good at video games, and that seems to be becoming more and more a viable path.
Exactly. Definitely.
Similar to how traditional kind of soccer and football, if you're in America, I guess, American football, you kind of go through college, and then you get picked up into drafts and leagues and stuff like that. Is that something that you'd like to see incorporated to make it a bit more formalized into esports?
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
Obviously, with the university leagues and stuff like that, that's becoming a bit more mainstream.
It is definitely. I think it was a couple of years ago now when I saw that there was a couple of American colleges, which is the equivalent of universities in the UK, which are picking up esports teams, and then you can get a scholarship for esports on gaming. That is amazing. Actually allowing people to pick up their own talents and then display that and gain an education from that will definitely be the next step to kind of growing it bigger across the entire scene. There's a few courses in the UK at university now, which is making it a lot more mainstream, like esports management, esports playing, like broadcasts and stuff like that is now incorporating esports into it. It's going so much more mainstream, and like I said, it can't really slow down. It won't slow down. So we will see further development. And it's, hey, if you're into esports right now, it's an amazing time to get into it. Like, you're getting in early, you're seeing almost the grassroots element of what it is. And some would even say that this is huge already, and it is, but it can still only get bigger. We still aren't football. We still aren't golf. We still aren't cricket. We can get to those levels fairly soon, and it's just going to take time.
I mean, you say that these are early days, but you think back to CGS, you look back to 2000, 2008, 2007. All the foundation was there. We've just now got to build back back up into it, if that makes sense.
Exactly. We built one castle, which is what we've already got on esports. Now we need to build the rest of it, and then we just need to keep building more pillars, just keep spreading out our range until everyone understands that esports is a viable path for kids, for people who are looking for a new career path. Social media and stuff like that is blowing up. For instance, like you mentioned at the very beginning, that's how we kind of got to know each other with ECS, was all on social media, because I basically stalked your guys' Twitter when it comes down to anything you posted. I have a little bit of a confession to make. So with that, I accidentally set notifications up for you guys. So every single time that you guys sent a tweet out about ECS, I was like, oh, I'm doing that game. I might as well respond, and completely forgot that I did it. So if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. But in all honesty, it can only get bigger. And I will keep saying that. And it is going to get bigger. And just get involved now so you understand that when it gets bigger in 5 years, you can be that hipster cool dude who was like, oh yeah, but 5 years ago it was like this. And it's like, oh yeah, cool. Shut up. Enjoy Counter-Strike.
Great. So in terms of that, what one piece of advice would you give to you yourself, essentially, when you first started casting, to people who might want to get interested in or get into esports, into the industry? What is the biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
Network tons. Like, I'm so bad at it. I'm like, it's my worst element when it comes down to casting. I didn't understand and appreciate how much you need to network out there. People aren't just going to come to you. You need to put yourself out there, get yourself a show reel as soon as you can. It's something which I'm developing right now. I've got my little brother who's great at editing. He's editing it all for me. Fantastic. 10 out of 10. Pay him £5 and he's sorted. Get one of those available, send it out to certain organizations, send it out to your Star Laddies, your Star Series, your WESGs, your ESLs, your ESL UKs, the Facets, the ECS, ESEA, anything. Send them out to certain sponsors, send them out to certain organizers, and be like, this is me. If you want me, here I am. Come and find me. If you have the opportunity to go to an event like ECS, find people there, meet up with them, talk to them. The only people I have ever networked with, and this is going to kick me to say it because I need to do more of it, is you guys. When I bumped into you guys at the ECS after party, that is the only time I have networked and anything has come of it. I've networked in the past, but it hasn't worked out as well as it did with you guys. For instance, we are doing this right now, and also you guys gave me some great advice and certain people to reach out to, and that's actually moved to newer things fairly soon. I can't talk about those right now, but there's things on the horizon which has come just from starting conversation with people in the industry. So if you are getting into it, learn how to talk to people and make sure that you put yourself out there, network more, and it will help you tenfold.